Good evening, friends. We have with us uh, Bianli. I guess that's the right way to pronounce it. Who's with us, and also Amit Rathor. Amit, I think you know Bian a little better than me, so I would hand over to introduce and
Sure.
say something about Bian while we hand over to her. I've heard a lot about the discourses and the discussions and the contribution, to the society in terms of various activities that she's done. It will be wonderful to know her much more. All
Yeah,
right,
for
Amit,
sure. Hey,
over to you.
Bian. Welcome to the show.
Thank
It's
you, Amit. Thank you, Vimal.
one of our early episodes, so pretty excited to have you. Um, so, Bian, you've been doing so many things, particularly the Hungry Lab, which is how we first, kind of crossed paths. So, why don't you just give us a 2 minute who you are and what you've been up to, and really how we connected, and what brings you back to the show.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Amit. Thanks so much, Vimal, for having me on. I connected with you, Amit, regarding our mutually aligned vision for how do we want to build a brighter future. And COVID has accelerated this great awakening, if you will, and this shift towards talking about a global reset of how we've been doing business, what hasn't worked, and what do we need to change about our economy, about how we live, how we work, to create a better future. And so that's where we intersect. And as Amit mentioned, I am the founder of the Hungry Lab. And the Hungry Lab is on a grand mission to help create the educational and entrepreneurial foundations to help anyone who is hungry to achieve and create a better livelihood for themselves. And what we're doing is we're working with companies, we're working with startups, we're working with schools, universities, and social entrepreneurs to create better systems, better curriculum, and better pathways to help people adapt and prepare for the future of work, to prepare for all of these challenges that we're facing as a society, as a planet, and to help them shape how they can influence and impact and create a better future for themselves, their families, and their communities. And so we do it in three parts. We have our education component. We also have our incubation component. And we also have our think tank component, where we do a lot of futurist work. And it's all about creating a regenerative economy to help guide people through the lifelong journey of learning. Because in the future, it's not about what you learn, it's how quickly you learn and adapt. And so, and how do you actually apply what you learn to affecting real change on the ground in the real world on issues that really matter, like social innovation. So that's what we are doing, and we are working with partners around the world, and we're so happy to be collaborating with Awake VC and all of the amazing things that Amit and Vimal are doing in this area, because it takes a whole global village to create more awareness and to guide more people. And I always use this analogy that, when you have scientists saying that if you plant 1 billion more trees, you can reverse climate change. Well, with all these man-made problems, if we, out of our existing population, can cultivate 1 billion more enlightened, better human beings, can we reverse also a lot more of the man-made problems in our world? And so that is how we're doing it. And everybody is on their own path. The problem with the current schooling system, the current VC system, all of that is we put people into these cookie cutter standardized molds and expect pineapple seeds to become apple seeds because we only have the soil and only have the nutrients for apples. But in the real world, it's an entire rainforest, and everybody has a part to play in its diverse role. And learning from nature doesn't waste. And the greatest tragedy we have today is wasted human potential. And what we're trying to do is create that regenerative ecosystem so that everybody, no matter what talents or what strengths or what they want to achieve and what their vision is, can tap into this ecosystem to create their own pathways. And it starts with regenerative human capital and how we develop people and unleash their superpowers. So that's essentially what we do in a nutshell.
Excellent. Fantastic. Like the old saying, Amit, if you give a man a fish, he can eat a meal. But if you teach him fishing, he can feed the
Yeah.
whole village.
Right.
So that's the difference that people make, right? So
Mhm.
Amit, yeah, you were saying something.
No. I really love that nature doesn't waste. That's so true, right? I mean, if you look at even um, all the decay, which
Mhm.
is, just back to earth, right? Instantly back to the, nature, and it just total, nothing goes to waste. Nothing is ever created or destroyed in that
Right.
sense, right?
Yep.
Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just transformed,
Yep.
you know?
Yep, exactly. And that's what we want to do with human capital, right? Just because you don't fit into this or you didn't succeed in one area, that doesn't mean your talents can go to waste. That means that you just need to be redirected into something that better suits you. And the same can be said for education, and so many children, their gifts are wasted and not identified and not utilized because we measure them to be smart in one area when they're actually smart in all these different other areas.
That is so true. I think that, we also look at the world through the lens of people,
Yeah.
And, at Awake, we say that value addition only happens when the human being is involved.
Yeah.
In the process, right? Because that's called value added tax today, when anything touches something else and it's just called that. But to be honest, if it's just software, then there is no value being added there. It's already done. The software was passed.
Right.
I mean, how much more value is Uber adding today, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's the human component, and Uber would not be Uber if it were not for the drivers.
Correct. And so once Uber software has been created and it is part of the universe, for example, the App Store has been created and it's part of the universe, the incremental value is not 30%. 30% incremental value comes when I don't have to do anything more to drive the sale. But I still have to do all that work, and you're just taking that as a tax. Now that you're there, that's very different conversation from when you just launched the App Store and I wasn't doing anything. I just put my stuff there, and magically lots of sales happened because, hey, it was all new, and everybody wanted to try everything, and it was like 100 or 1,000 apps or 10,000 apps, not like 3 million apps, right?
Right.
So it's no longer it's just utility now, and you can't charge 30% for utilities.
Right. Software is becoming more and more commoditized.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the human element. And I talk a lot about this in a lot of my presentations, that the future is not just technology, but it's technology with humanity.
Right.
And it's that personalization and that it's that customizable path for every user that's going to be, and how that user helps shape the role of the user in that technology is very, very important. And like you say, Amit, it's the network that drives that value co-creation, because everybody has their intrinsic network, and there needs to be a mutually beneficial win-win-win system where everybody can benefit. And so it's similarly going from the lines of competition mindset, which is what our current world is, to collaboration mindset.
Correct. And that notion of community is the network. The network is the community that you're talking about. And it includes, the different dual sides of the transaction, all transactions, right? Whether it's somebody who just says something about someone else's thing, which is word of mouth, that's a transaction between human beings, as well as the actual company who's selling the product. Obviously, that's a transaction. And then all the things that they're buying from other people to make that product. That's the supply chain side, which is also part of the community. Right. So all of this stuff is together, the network, and it's all one network, right? It's a single, human network. And if you go back to that notion of, software has become commoditized, and you take that out of the equation for a second, all you're left with is people.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's just, and people you needed people to even make the software, right? And but it's about, how do we cultivate that community? Is it going to be exploitative? Or is it going to be empowering? And right now it's very exploitative, right? I'm just a number to Facebook, I'm the product, right? Yeah. And that's how we have so many issues with privacy and all that social dilemma stuff, and because people have been disempowered from their own data and their contributions to the network. Now, if we can bring that back, where people have now have the sovereignty over their own data and a lot of those other issues, then we can create a much more powerful, empowerment-driven network that can create a lot more sustainable value for everybody, not just the Bezos of the world.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that exact problem was the one that we took upon ourselves to solve from a technical standpoint. You see, the internet is open because it's built on HTTP, but it's only technically open. You see, it's technically open. Sure, technically I can share, but I don't have to, right? So that renders it like the situation we are in today, which is Facebook's and everybody else just says, you know what, I won't share. And I will simply charge people for access to the lists of users. And every day I will rent this list of users to people, and I will do so to everybody and make trillions of dollars.
It's not the software that makes the money. It's the data that is mined from the software that is the money.
And to be specific, what data? It's only the people data. It's the user data, to be specific. And it's not like some anonymized abstract stuff. It's access to these individuals. Let's make it very simply and clear. Sure, you can say it's anonymized and it's blah, 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 but it's really to reach you and me, right? Specifically, right? So I'm not anonymized. You're trying to reach me. So it's not like, so it's very clear. You're trying to reach the very people that use Facebook. Right? That's you and me. And so what we're talking about is a new protocol at a technical level called Awake, right? Which basically, now that you log in to the Awake sovereign ID, which is, Awake Me, Awake ID, it is what you just said. So as long as you've logged into Awake and you're doing all the things you're doing on social media, so to speak, with our, watchful eye looking over you, then all the data and all the activity that you do, whether or not Facebook tries to use it, at the very least, you have it. And you can directly monetize it right now, right away.
Right. Yep.
With all the transactionality of the whole internet, which means multiple currencies, wherever the stuff's going on, it doesn't matter, globally.
Right.
And you're able to, go ahead.
Yeah. And in
that's
essence,
what I'm saying.
Yeah. It democratizes monetization.
It's fundamentally doing that, yes. Yep. Because monetization of whom? The people, right? Like you said, you and I are the product. So who can monetize you and me? Me and you, right? Who else? So why don't we monetize ourselves? Why don't we monetize our own networks? Why don't we monetize them, whether they're on Facebook or LinkedIn or Snapchat? That's not the point. It's the people. So if you look at it very clearly, there is no problem. All the social media platforms can remain as the social media platforms. You can share media there. That's fine. As long as you've logged into Awake, you will make all the money that you're doing. You're making based on the activity. There's no other way to make money.
Right.
Facebook can't make money on you if you don't do anything on Facebook.
Right.
Right. So that's all it is. You monetize your own activity.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully that'll help you become more aware of what you're actually doing. Because so much of Facebook and social media in itself is just mindless scrolling.
Correct.
And we're allowing ourselves to be manipulated because we are not even conscious of what we're doing.
So true. So true. You will not share anything unless you are going to wrap that in your Awake, persona, one of your Awake personas, because, it represents something. It becomes very specific and mindful, to your point. It's no longer just like randomly sharing whatever's in your feed because it sounds minutely interesting,
right,
or inflammatory.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And hopefully it'll help people also get out of their, vicious loop cycles of information and misinformation.
Yeah, I see, that's an opt-in thing, That's an opt-in thing. People have to opt into that. What we will enable is the stamp of genuine or authenticity, Is this really belonging to Bian, or is it somebody's deep fake?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's going to happen in the next couple of years. In the next
absolutely.
year or two,
scary.
2021, So we've already got technology that accelerates it. And the reason it accelerates it is because you cannot stop it. So what we are doing is we're enabling everybody with deepfake technology. and also offering a stamp of genuine authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
So it enhances trust.
Yeah. So you can have any number of deep fakes out there, like everybody else will, but you can also mark the one that's authentic on the ledger. So globally, brands and companies and people can have authentic and authenticated voices with their sovereign IDs, but everybody else who's making up deep fake stuff doesn't have that. They can't authenticate that information. So we have to be able to be in control of what we are putting out there.
Right.
It cannot just become free flow.
Right. And people need to be made more aware of exactly how their information is being used against them and and to be more conscious of what they're actually putting out there.
Correct. They'll be very mindful. In fact, the kind of stuff we're doing is you can create personas for yourself online that look and feel totally different. You can be, different races and genders and whatever you age. You can be anyone you want online and curate that personality and opinions, because that's how we are. We have multiple personas, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And the people out there, they don't need to know from an ID perspective, all of you at any time.
Mm-hmm.
You can create, just like Facebook is manipulating so many profiles, you can create any number of profiles for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's magic. You see, the future is totally programmatic and everybody has the technology that everybody else has. Totally consumerized. Everything that Facebook, Netflix, all these people can do, individuals will be able to do with our software.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamental, upside down, bottom up economy building through network of networks.
Exactly. And everything that people do, everyone walking around is a microeconomy within themselves anyways.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Bian, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Bian here.
Okay.
Now, in your introduction, you mentioned that you have, technology with a human touch or something like that. Can you give me an example of how you have achieved that? I mean, in your real life situation, like I think 6 months you were in Kerala, maybe trying to do something like this or any kind. Can you just give us how you have achieved that? So that at that point in time, Amit could also think, how we can support you with our system to achieve many, many, many more of that using tech.
So absolutely. I know exactly how. I've actually mapped out a user journey and shared it with Amit about how all of this is. And I need to schedule a call with you, Amit, because there's a lot of things to talk about. So essentially, the Hungry Lab has various components to it. It is essentially.
If you want to show that diagram, also it'd be cool. If you have it by chance, if it's even because we can cut this part out, but if you can restart this segment with the diagram, feel free to do that if you want, if it's helpful.
Okay.
And you can share the screen and do it.
The users can really get a good sense of what you're saying.
Okay.
The readers, consumers, whatever, watchers, viewers.
Sure. So I can share the screen?
Yeah, go for it. Yep.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay, great. So here, just as an example to answer your question, Vimal, the Hungry Lab is comprised of 7 main components, and these work for an individual's journey through life, as well as our entire circular ecosystem where people can be funneled into one or more, and it acts as a holistic system to develop a person, a startup, as well as a community. And so it can be scaled down and can be scaled up. Now, how this works is all of these components will have a tech component to help scale it, but the key is the customization, which brings the humanity into it. How we started was I was on this mission to help really try to figure out why is the school system failing us and why are so many startups, 9 out of 10 startups, failing at the seed stage. When we first started out, we had so many people coming to us who had graduated from 2 to 3 month incubators, and they were still needing so much handholding and still telling us, "Oh my God, I didn't really learn anything," and they had to really start from scratch. And so we were trying to get to the root causes of that problem, and it was because it was anything that you do, it's also standardized, and people needed that customization. But how do you do it at scale? That's actually where that technology comes into play. And if everybody, like I said, is a microeconomy, the way that you do it is you need to involve your village. And so you can actually start monetizing your village through each component.
Perfect.
Now, so for example, the Ikigai, that's one of our flagship incubators. So it's actually incubating an individual versus a product, right? Because products can fail, but individuals, it's about incubating them through life. And that's where we start. And so then we have the pillars around it, the healing lab, which is what you need for your emotional, spiritual, physical, mental development as a holistic, integrated person, right? And how do we create now from this in our operations? We have a community of coaches, advisors, therapists, counselors, specialists in these different areas related to some form of personal growth and development. We empower and train each one to be a coach and an instructor. We can help them monetize by bringing them a pipeline of learners, as well as help them create and amplify their voice. And so they can create a solid lead generation pipeline for themselves. And we also get a commission. And so it's this whole microeconomy that works really well for, for network monetization, because all of these 7 components are networks among networks among themselves.
So technically speaking, one could imagine you bringing on a lot of folks that will run these components all over the world.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And we've already started building out hubs in different areas. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we should figure out a way to connect up all of those people on our network that is essentially your network, these networks that are powered by our network of networks. So you're already creating that technology economy there, tech-powered economy there.
Exactly. And because we also work in developing countries, and our whole goal is democratizing education, democratizing learning, democratizing future skills, because these so many schools are under-resourced and don't have the ability to teach it. So how do we empower the individual student and learner to do that? Right. So that whole
while you're doing that and you're training them for entrepreneurship, which is really net, the way to awaken countries and whole economies and so on. I was going to say something, totally lost my train of thought, but yeah, keep going. It'll come back to me. So then you have these other components, right? Our thought leadership component, where we develop founders and individuals into thought leaders and experts, and amplifying that message. So as people, we want everybody that we bring on in our community to become a movement maker. That's the only way you elevate consciousness at scale. Correct. Totally, completely agree. We'd love to connect on a couple of things here. Bian, go ahead, Vima.
Bian, I have just one question here. So you have one set of trainers and one set of learners, right?
Right.
So are these learners at a formative schooling level, at a college level, you connect and you put a software there, or is it a live education system, or is it an online version? How does this whole process work? Because it's very interesting what you're doing, but it kind of appears to be a little complex.
It is, and that's just how my mind is, right? Because nature, if you look at a rainforest, there's so many elements in nature, right? But it's about communicating it and having, a framework in which you can have standardization with customization and complexity with common ground. And that's the only way that you can have the perfect marriage of both.
So I see this, Vimal. I think, it's like our thing too, right? Like, it's like, look at the jobs here, right? It's like it's like a careers kind of vertical, right? You look at the mindset, wellness. These are all like our Nomoro and like our, these sort of verticals, right? And then you have the thought leadership vertical, like our training and all our other verticals. And then you have investment partnerships like our Awake VC and Co-VC and Halo and everything else. And then you have the incubator. So I think it's very similar in some sense, that's kind of how I see it.
Right. Absolutely. And
like verticals and stuff.
Yeah. And let me share with you this other thing right now, if I can find it.
But I can see why Vimal said it is complex, right? The first time you see it, it's certainly
the first time.
Things.
Yeah. There's many things, but it's all if you think about it, it's all of these things are what one child needs to grow into a holistic, aligned adult who is in congruence with their mission.
So speaking of which, where does it start? The age? Is it like what Vimal is asking?
Our goal,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to see.
Our goal is, our ultimate vision is to start from, birth. And even before that, because it requires the mother too. But right now we've been working with, because it's a pathway through life, right? Sure. Because it's not a hard stop, because the whole pathway through life is continuous. And so you reach one milestone, your life diverts, you need to go here. Okay, here's a branch, and here's your next village, and here's how you can help with your village and go to the next level of where you want to go. And so it needs to be dynamic and adaptive to life. Right now, we've been working with children as young as 5. And also working with, corporate execs who are, in their 50s and want to do something else with their next chapter. And in these past 4 months during lockdown, I've taught over 2,000 learners from the ages of 9 through, MBA MBA colleges. So it is flexible, it's fluid, and it's based on the principles of regenerative ecology. And I like to say that everything I learned about building regenerative ecosystems, I learned collecting soil samples in the African rainforest. And when you look at that, it's about creating that soil, right? We acknowledge the importance of soil, and all of these elements have a soil component. And it has an element of, okay, it's nurturing that seed in the right soil and giving it the right nutrients to help it grow strong, and then allowing it to interact well with the right ecosystem around it. And so that is something that that we do that is very critical, that is unlike any other type of curriculum or schooling system. And I do a lot of presentations to university administrators and even incubators and accelerators because learning is not linear, and education, learning, schooling, and skilling are 4 different things, but we use them interchangeably now. And that's where we run into a lot of problems. And so the key is to harness the power of the individual and continue as they grow along in their path to amplify that network so it grows and it spirals. It's like, nature's fractal, nature is branchial.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into sacred geometry now, but it's essentially just that, right? And how do we create and magnify the positive?
I mean, I totally get it. So, we'd love to figure out how we can help.
Okay.
How we can specifically help, and, definitely let's do it, like the call you want to have next and so on. Definitely.
Right. Let me show you another.
Yeah.
Let me show you another screen. So this is, I don't know if you can see it, the print's a little small, but this is essentially, can you see it?
Yeah, but this is what was always there.
Yeah. So
on top you have the incubator, then the healing lab, unlab, and bottom the field, then regenerator, recubator.
Okay, this
and,
one.
Resonator.
Okay, let me know if you can see this new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This I can see.
Okay, so this is essentially how it looks on a macro level. Those were individual components that formed our reschool and our recubator, and our rethink tank, rethinking completely society, the economy, and everything that we want to build, rethinking the future. And how we are trying to create you can see, like, for example, the rethink tank creates the continuous research programming frameworks to fuel our reschool and our recubator. The reschool creates the future-proof workforce that's smart match to our partners, right? The startups, the corporates, the government, schools, universities. And the recircular economy, is those people can then come back into our learning community and level up to the next level of where they want to go in their life path. And so it requires a whole global village. We have, we need ed tech partners, knowledge providers. So we're starting to build up all of these components, on the human level. And we need the tech to scale up. And, the startups, corporates, governments, incubators, investors, these are all vital parts of our ecosystem, because they not just provide learners, but it's also, once we have learned, they've completed our programs, we can cycle them back through. And on the community level, we're actually creating regenerative hubs to start piloting this at a community level. And we're actually starting in Orange County here. We have a program called Regen OC that we're about to pilot and launch. And there's some exciting stuff around that, yeah. And so it's all about nurturing the next generation of change makers and problem solvers, but it takes a village. And whether it's your family system as a village, whether it's your teachers as a village, or whether it's your whole community as a village, how do we activate everybody in a way that they are, optimizing their role in the network?
Yeah.
Everybody is winning. Does that make sense?
I mean, I get it.
Of course, I think, Amit, the same thing that, what we are doing, networking, what we are doing is really creating employment, creating opportunities to earn.
We have created an abstract system that can fit any model of network of networks.
Yeah.
Right. So, so they can, or anyone can create these kinds of things, new types of ecosystems using a network of network approach, and power all of it with our, economy technology, it's economy, right? It's the economy, central banking, and the whole market of markets, supply chain, all those pieces are there in the operating system.
Exactly. And what we call it the re-economy, right? A regenerative economy and rethinking the economy, actually. Correct. Yep. So that's essentially that. And it requires us to fundamentally shift our mindset from this, competitive alpha male driven mindset to this community level, much more matriarchal and stakeholder.
That's so true, right? In a way, somebody else said this the other day, actually, that in a way we're channeling, the feminine energy.
Yeah, exactly. And we all have feminine, Shiva and Shakti within all of us, right? And it's just the reason why there's so many people who are angry, depressed, everybody's hurt and lost in the world is because we've repressed one energy and overcompensated with another energy, and we've lost ourselves. Life is not about, finding who you are. It's not even about creating who you are. It's about remembering who you are. And then curating the resources, the network, the pathway that will allow you to fully express who you remember yourself to be. Right? Because everyone is born with this mission. And the sad thing is, the greatest tragedy, wasted human potential, because of our structural artificial constraints that we put on people, people are not able to do that. And society suffers as a consequence.
Yeah,
see that
absolutely.
Right now in everything that's happening in the world.
Very true. And I think that the change can happen in no time.
Yep.
Just like all these problems took a long time, the solution, however, is because it's all powered by us, right? It can change instantly, and it can happen overnight. Effectively, it can happen in a year's time. You know what I mean? Like just a wave of people waking up to just something very simple, that I don't need to depend on others for my livelihood. And that fundamental shift, changes how we look at each other. Right.
And ultimately, you need incentivization that is tangible for people, because people still live in a physical world.
Exactly. Which is why we talk about money and jobs. No other reason.
Exactly. Right? So people need that incentivization, and that will beget, once you establish that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once you establish that lower foundation of survival and stuff, now then you can open up the mind space and heart base to become more actualized.
100%. Cannot have said it better myself. Completely in sync.
So you believe that, material benefits are as important as, the other spiritual benefits that you need. Because see, if you don't have aspirations, I believe that aspiration, whatever the aspiration could be, it could be attaining a spiritual nirvana, or it could be attaining a, wealth. So most of it, aspirations are around the material benefits, and you aspire. And that aspiration motivates you, and makes you drive yourself with that, keeping that aspiration as a goal. So what's wrong in that? If it is material, so what? But it's an aspiration. Can
I answer that? But after Ben, you go for it. But I want to say something after that.
So there's, well, Vedic principles teach that there's no such thing as right or wrong, right? There's no reality, right? You have 7 billion people, you have 7 billion realities. People, you have to meet people where they are, right? You can't force someone to be spiritually aware if that's not where they are right now. And so if it's money that is incentivized, then that helps them get to the next level once they are materially secure. And, unfortunately, as much as we are just energetic bodies in a physical container, we still have taxes to pay. We still have rent to pay. We still have, and all of that. So it's important to understand that money is not an end. It's a means to help you achieve the end that's right for you. And money is just energy in itself, right? You can use money for evil, you can use money for good, right? And it's about how do you want that money to best serve you. And if you want to go be a yogi in a cave, go be a yogi in a cave, right? No one's stopping you. But for the most, we want to look at nature as a bell curve, most people are not at that level where they actually understand that. And you can't explain something in a vocabulary that people don't understand, especially these concepts in which you have to experience it first. You can't just tell somebody and they get it. They have to go through those lessons, those life lessons themselves. And everybody is on their own journey. Everybody is learning, and everybody has their own karmic roles to play out. Now, but we do have to acknowledge that most people are driven by getting everyone is driven by getting their needs met first. And if money can be a way to help people meet their needs, so then they are not, look at UBI, right? UBI helps, now it's shown that UBI, Universal Basic Income, now helps people get to that next level of actualization because they're no longer worrying about paying rent or food or medicine. And so that is ultimately, the growth journey of every single person. And some people are at a much more advanced level and some people are at a much less advanced level. But we have to make it work for everybody because we have to drag as many people as we can into the future, not just the people that are actualized or aware enough to or have the resources to do something about it. It takes, we need to create a future that's inclusive to everybody at their level of awareness and knowledge based on the sum of their life experiences.
Amit, what's your
no, I was
take
just
on
going
that?
to add, not a lot to add there, right? This is like nailed it, right? So that's all totally true. I was going to just say that for the people who are ambitious, those who are, beyond their needs, they just have ambition or potential or talent or whatever it is, and they want to self-actualize that. And everybody thinks in terms of money and wealth, like you said. My sort of realization was that, it's like what Bian said, right? What do you do with the money? Right? Like once you have it, what do you do with it? So that led me to kind of go a bit deeper. And then I was like, how when, you see some rich people giving away like $1 million to something or like a big grant, and then you're like, wow, look at that or whatever, right? Like whatever reaction you have. And then what is it that our ambition is usually? I want $1 million. I want $10 million. Right? So I just went to this point where I was like, you know what? I just want to like give away like $10 million. I want to be like, I want to give away like 100 million. I don't have it, but why not that be the, ambition?
Right.
I want to give away like $1 billion. I want to give away like 10 billion. What does it feel like to give away like, $100 billion? What does it feel like to like put $100 billion to use for everybody? Like rather than sitting in the bank, like right now, Mark Zuckerberg and all these people, their money is sitting in the bank. I don't understand. Like we can just solve all the problems right now. Well, what's the problem? Right? Like, I don't understand. Like what's going on? What? Right? Like all of us are the ones who are going to do it. Right? So why not just do it right now? So my thing is very clear. I have an ambition, even though I'm aware and this and that and all that. And it's just, how can I create a company that's worth $1 trillion, just like these guys? But we give away the money. We give it away and use it for stuff like in the real world, not to go to Mars and like, all these other things. Like it's that simple. Like I have no lack of ambition, but I just want it to be for everybody.
Right. People are locked in this mindset of, this lack mindset of, I want this. Well, then you're just communicating to the universe that you don't have it. Right. And so but people confuse themselves. They think I want $10 million and therefore I will be happy. But it's not the $10 million that makes them happy. It's the end result and the feeling that and the what they're able to do with the $10 million that makes them happy.
That is true.
So, yeah, right. But people don't ask that.
And to go even further, though, I would say that if you get your $10 million in the bank and you're not happy, then you say, okay, I'm going to go buy a car and a house and all that stuff, and then you use like $5 million to do all those things, and then you're still not happy, right? And then you're like, what do I do now, right? And then you're like, somebody comes along and it's like, I my house burned down and this and that, and and then you're like, you know what? I'm just going to help you out. I'm going to and then you're like just so happy. You're just like, you gave him $5,000. The person was just ridiculously happy, and you're happy, and everyone's happy, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like, yep. I'm the happiest person alive suddenly because I spent $5,000 and I changed somebody's life, and it's just like, wow, what was that? Imagine if I can do that with like 5 million people or 5 billion people. I mean, that's sheer bliss all the time.
Right. They say the thing about the truisms of money and power, right? Money and power, they don't change who you are. They reveal who you are.
Correct. I would like to give you my take on what happiness is, with a small little, story. There were two people sitting under a tree, a banyan tree, and they looked very simple, and they were playing chess. So a very, very rich man, a billionaire, came past and saw these people playing chess, and said, oh God, these guys are wasting their time, and they're just playing chess. They're young, 25-year-old young men. And let me go and, motivate them and make them work and do something so that they can contribute to the society. So he goes and asks the first guy, see, young man, when I was your age, I did a lot of work, this, that, look at my car, which I'm driving, I could contribute to the society, etc., etc. What do you do? So he said, can you, see that cattle over there? There were some 1,000 cows. That's mine. Oh, but what are you doing with it? He says, I get the milk and I sell it and I'm playing chess. So he says, no, instead you could, start a dairy farm, build a big business, sell butter, cheese, create a brand. He says, after that, what? After that, you can buy a big ship, car. After that, what? After that, you can have, marry many times. You can have the best of the world's pleasures, After that, what? After that, you're extremely happy. So he says, I'm happy anyway. So happiness is a state of mind. He was happy anyway. So why does he have to do all that?
Right.
So happiness is a state of mind. It is.
And it's a choice.
Yeah. So yes. I don't know if you heard the story of Sushant Rajput in India. One of the top upcoming stars. I mean, whether he's murdered or suicided. I mean, such a young man, fit. He was unhappy.
Yeah.
He was unhappy. He had all the wealth. He was handsome. He was extremely fit. He could do somersault. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And he was the upcoming next round star. I mean, a superstar that was in the making. But they say I don't know what the story is, but the point is he was unhappy.
Right.
So much of money made him only unhappy.
Right. And it's about reframing our mindsets because our minds play tricks on us. Our minds can tell us we're not happy when we actually, because we don't know what we want. And again, it's that soul component that's been missing. When we are secure enough in our soul and who we are and our purpose, then we are content and we are happy because we know ourselves. And, they say pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Right. And so, and we are constantly suffering all day, every day, because we are bombarded, social media doesn't help, bombarded with things like, oh, we don't have this, so I need a bigger car. My neighbor just bought a house, so I need to buy a bigger house. It's this, and the system is making us chase all of these things to keep us in debt, to keep us, entrenched in this place of lack. So we can continue to serve the system, right? Versus serving ourselves. And once you realize that you have that choice to not participate and to exit from that, right? Remove yourself from the matrix, then more things open up. And then you realize what happiness means to you and how you deserve it and how you can actually go about creating it for yourself. Because all the answers we have for ourselves comes from within anyways.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, totally. And so that's kind of what we're also wanting to be, which is a way to self-actualize your potential as a human being in terms of your skills and talents and, interests and whatever it is that help you to at least start earning a living and then build whatever you want on top of it.
Right. Yep.
So you become financially independent first, right? So that you can start, taking your own decisions about politics or anything else. Because right now you're not making your own decisions.
Money is freedom.
Money is freedom. So it's that notion of first being free, then you can, do more. And then it's not about greedy. Hopefully you're not greedy. This system is not good or bad, right? You can make unlimited capital with selling things, right? Like with serving other people. So it's not, you can make unlimited money. It's what you do with it.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
So we're super excited, Bian, to partner up. You're back in the States now, and let's just sort of dive into specifics.
Yeah, absolutely. I can say I need all the help I can get. So building.
Look, you're activating what we have built, in a vertical that that's really spot on. So we're aligned 100%.
Absolutely. Technology plus humanity.
I'll introduce you to this guy called Dave Tandon. You may already know him. He's running this thing called Obo Movement.
Okay. That sounds really familiar. I don't think I've
come across it. Obo. Yeah. It's like, what would Buddha do if he was the CEO?
Oh, okay.
It's like all these companies that want to operate under the Obo stamp of, community approval. Mm-hmm. And is considered, transparent and, not only about, corporate profits or whatever. It's transparency and, it's about people and all that stuff. You should check it out, obomovement.org.
Okay.
So we're co-opting and, powering his stuff also.
Great. Fantastic. And we're also collaborating with other groups, sort of like, like B Lab is the certification for B Corps. We're also partnering with the group out of Paris that's focused on certifying regenerative business, more so on the environmental side. But it's all about how do we amplify and create these synergistic relationships, and we continue to build a movement so more and more people are added on, right? And
that's
with
right.
Subsequent add-on, the network effect becomes greater and greater.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the movements we're helping to coordinate is called No Gatekeeping. Mm-hmm. There's a whole hashtag No Gatekeeping, that we're going to start, and nogatekeeping.com is a hub for the whole network of networks that wants openness, wants the App Store to reduce pricing, wants, this whole thing to change as an advocacy group. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, happening tomorrow, but we want a constant drumbeat through partners and, media companies and all these other open projects that are creating alternate economies around the world to come together and really rally around this clarion call, right? No gatekeeping.
Right.
And really just build an alternate network of networks.
Right. Exactly.
So we'd love to have you on that, and Obo is going to join, and many others are just being invited to.
Yeah, happy to do whatever that you need me to do. I'm very excited about this, and it requires everybody working together and making that shift happen.
Yeah, all you would be doing there is promoting your own stuff, of course, and then also talking about the no gatekeeping concept and why it's important and how these businesses that you're creating or co-creating are all about this new economy that doesn't do gatekeeping.
Fantastic.
So that's really it. Everybody talks about their own thing in the context of, this broader movement. And that's the media that we need. We need videos. We need, you to talk about, others to talk. It's a media-driven thing, as everything is.
Right. You need to know where it is first and foremost.
Yes. Yep. So that's the thing. So wonderful. We'll, get that activated then.
Great.
So,
Bian, we're wonderful, meeting you today. And, we've had such a fantastic discussion. And we will have one more session, maybe next time we'll fix it and, maybe we can discuss how after we, how we can integrate the awake model, with your thoughts and build out something which is really good for the society. Yeah. What do you say, Amit?
100%. I see close, cooperation here, obviously, and we can, empower with the tech, instantly a lot of the stuff you're doing, because it's ready now. It's ready to go, and it's already been activated in several places.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Yeah, super exciting.
Great.
Okay,
All right.
we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Very
Talk
much.
soon.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.